Welcome to the Triple Play Podcast. Once again, we have got the 643 double play for you here, and we are here today, and we're going to talk to you about what happened today in our fantasy football draft that happened over a few hours ago. It took quite a long time. We do an auction draft, so it takes quite a long time. First time Nick's ever been in something like that, so I think he enjoyed it. Nick, initial reactions to the auction draft?
I definitely prefer it to a snake draft. I really do. Like because if there's someone you want and you're willing to spend the money on them, you can go get them, and it
That's
doesn't
true.
it doesn't matter. You can't get screwed by a late draft pick.
That's exactly right. Like, I mean, you have the opportunity to get whoever you want going in, and
Right.
so you kind of, you make your strategy on your first couple players, but then you do have to adapt after that with
Right.
how that affected your team. But we're gonna go over each team here and just talk about some stuff that happened. Just for uh future reference, we start with $1,500 each. Obviously, it's not real money, but we start with $1,500 each, and you have to put together a full roster. We do a little bit of a bigger roster than most fantasy leagues. We do one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, a flex position, which can be either a running back, wide receiver, or tight end. We do a kicker, a defense, and we do six bench spots. So we do have that extra wide receiver and that flex option as well. Some leagues have the two wide receiver and the flex. We have three wide receiver and
Yeah.
flex. We also run PPR, so
Mhm.
that's going to come into play later. But I'm going to run over this team real quick, Nick. You tell me some players that pop out at you. This is actually my dad's team, and I think he was pretty happy with his draft. He was worried that he backed himself into a hole, but you'll understand why here in just a second. He ended up with this is his projected starting lineup: Pat Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds, Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle in the flex, Tyler Bass as his kicker, which is the Buffalo kicker, and the Cowboys defense. On his bench, we have Dak Prescott, Miles Sanders, Christian Kirk, Tony Pollard, Julio Jones, and Rashad Penny. What are some things that pop out at you right there?
Well, see, I've got my list here in front of me that we had at the draft,
Hmm.
and he got Patrick Mahomes for 175 bucks.
Yep.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
And who else did he get? You said he got Jalen Waddle. He got who
Well, the
else?
the big thing was Cooper Kupp, CeeDee
Yeah,
Lamb, Tyreek Hill.
that's that's
So,
ridiculous.
he was worried after the draft that maybe he hurt himself because it's always you worry about not having good running backs. That's just kind
Right.
of like just what you do naturally in fantasy football. But PPR league, wide receivers are kings if they can catch a lot of passes. He's got Cooper Kupp, he's got Tyreek Hill, and then
Hmm.
CeeDee Lamb projects to be a guy like that too. And not only, he's got Jalen Waddle as well. He's got the 1-2 in Miami if he thinks that, Tua is going to be the guy that throws the
And
ball.
the other two are number ones on their teams as well, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I mean,
And Cooper Cup is the PPR sponsor. You know what I'm
mhm.
talking about? Like
Yeah,
Cooper Cup invented PPR.
right.
So, what I want to ask you though, Nick, do you think that his running backs are Josh Jacobs and Chase Edmonds? Do you think those guys were just too low that his wide receivers aren't going to be able to make up for that?
See, it all depends, I think, on just. I mean, if his four wide receivers do the right thing, I'm assuming he's going to have Waddle in the flex.
Yeah.
Um, I think if they do their thing and the running backs can just be decent enough, I think he still can be a winning team for sure in the league.
Absolutely. Josh Jacobs, obviously the starter for Oakland. Chase
Yeah,
Edmonds, obviously the starter for Miami. So it's not like he's trying to get a piece, of a backfield.
right.
Chase Edmonds may share a little bit of time with Raheem Mostert. Josh Jacobs is going to lose some passing down work to Amir Abdullah. But the thing that I like about his lineup the most is Pat Mahomes could absolutely
Mhm.
go off.
Right,
Cooper Cup, Tyreek Hill. Those guys can win you a week by themselves.
right.
CeeDee Lamb projects to be maybe that guy as well with a lot of touchdown passes. I think CeeDee Lamb could be almost like a Devontae Adams this year where he just
Yeah,
catches a lot of touchdowns. I know I don't think Josh Jacobs or Chase Edmonds is that guy where you're like, oh yeah, this guy can go out and win me an entire week.
right.
But I really look forward to seeing what he does with Julio Jones early, seeing as Chris Godwin's hurt and Tom Brady's the quarterback. So I like it. I like his draft. He's got a really big opportunity to really have some players just burst out onto the scene.
for
The
sure.
highest he paid for any player, he paid 455 for Cooper Cup, and
That's,
I thought it was going to be 500. I really did. So
I
I think he
mean,
actually, when we talk about some other wide receivers later, I mean, I think he really actually got away really good with Cooper Cup for
yeah,
450. As long as Stafford's healthy, he'll be fine.
right,
I don't, we might do another video later on, right before the season starts later this week, on who we project will finish in what places. But
right.
I'm gonna go over to Devin's roster. That's my
Okay.
brother. You drafted right beside him, so I
Hmm.
know, and you were, right there. His projected starting lineup will be Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Mark Andrews, Javonte Williams in the flex, Justin Tucker as his kicker, and the Saints defense. His bench is Trey Lance, Mike Gesicki, Damian Pierce, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, and Devontae Smith.
I mean, I think Mark Andrews and Kyler Murray are probably two of the highlights of his team. I think. I just think I think really Devin gave up on a lot of big guys a little too early. I think. Like, I don't think he was willing to spend way too much for someone that he really wanted. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I do think that I don't think he expected to have to pay 410 for Mark Andrews. He is a
Right.
Baltimore fan. I don't think he was expecting to have to pay that much for Mark Andrews. Then I do think that Alvin Kamara could be looked back on and seen as one of the steals,
Yeah.
only going for 320 when we know he's a guy that could easily be a top five running back.
Right. Right.
Anybody else on that in the wide receiver group there? He got Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, and DK Metcalf as his 1, 2, 3 on wide receivers. What are we thinking there?
I don't like the DK Metcalf thing. Like, I just when you take Russell Wilson away from him, I just think that that hurts him a lot. It would hurt anyone, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. I honestly, DK Metcalf, he got him for super cheap,
yeah,
$21. So pennies on the dollar. If DK Metcalf was to actually still be able to get it done with Geno
yeah,
Smith, he's going to look like a genius.
right.
But I project maybe a guy like Darnell Mooney starting at the
Hmm.
beginning of the season for him, just because Justin Fields looked really good today in his preseason performance. He did go with something that a lot of people went with, which was he grabbed a backup quarterback and he
Hmm.
grabbed a backup tight end. I know that I myself did not. Do you think that that is just I mean, do you think that that's something where, you feel like you need to do that, or do you think that, you could get away with not doing that and just hit the waiver wire later on?
I think it depends on how big you went in other categories to be able to say if you can really reserve like a good backup tight end or a good backup quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
I completely understand because, he went Kyler Murray,
Hmm.
who is, probably a top five fantasy quarterback.
Yeah.
But, if he had, Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes, maybe he doesn't even get a backup quarterback.
Right.
He got Mark Andrews. So if I have Mark Andrews, I'm probably not going to draft a backup tight end, just
No.
because, like, I just don't think there's anybody else that I would even consider ever playing above him.
Right.
It could be a safety thing though. Mike Gesicki, he's a guy that might break out for a Dolphins offense that looks really good. Um, I like his team. I don't think it has like quite the home run hitters that the team we just talked about with my
Right.
dad's team there. Um, I like the upside of Javonte Williams. Justin Tucker obviously going to score more points than any other kicker in the league. But I am interested to see what AJ Brown does in Philadelphia. I think that could
Yeah.
that could hinder a lot. We know Devontae Adams is going to catch some touchdowns. We
Hmm.
know Alvin Kamara is going to get the job done.
Right.
Uh, the Kyler Murray James Conner stack is an interesting one too. If
Yeah.
Arizona plays well, he's going to look good too.
Right.
Um, so we'll move on to we'll actually move on to your team. I have your team up next, or do you want to do our two teams last?
We can do our two teams last. That's fine.
Okay, well we'll move to my cousin Josh.
All right.
He actually had a really good draft, and he
I
had to
thought
do
he
his
did
kind
too.
of quickly. I really liked his draft. His projected starting lineup is Aaron Rodgers, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Cortland Sutton, Hunter Renfrow, Mike Williams, Nick Chubb in the flex, Dawson Knox at tight end, Harrison Butker, and the Bills defense. His bench is Zeke, Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, who we know is suspended for 6 games, Chase Claypool, and Tyler Lockett. What are some names that really just jump out at you?
I mean, I think he took a chance on Aaron Rodgers, which is, I mean, it is what it is. I thought his wide receivers were weak. I mean, really, his running backs were insane. But I think he was talking to me during the draft saying that he thought that I went too heavy wide receivers, and I was like, I don't know. I just think he might have gone too heavy running back.
Yeah. No, I the one thing about it is the dude's not gonna have to worry about a running back because
Right.
he's got those two guys. He's got Nick Chubb in the flex, who might be one of the best pure
Yeah.
rushers in the NFL, and then he's got Zeke, who could absolutely come out and be a beast and prove a lot of people wrong
Right.
about his decline. I understand that ADP wise, his wide receivers are a little lower, but I think some of the guys that he got just have tremendous upside. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Cortland Sutton with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Hunter Renfro now not being the focus of the defense. Devontae Adams is obviously going to be the focus of the defense, and he's a PPR nightmare. And Mike Williams on a Chargers offense that might be one of the best offenses in football. I think that he done a good job of piecing together enough to go behind the superstardom of Eckler and Cook. And
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is also one of those quarterbacks that I feel like you can pick up late, and you know that his floor is just going to be just fine for your
Yeah.
team. I worry about the wide receivers, obviously, but now what do you think about the Michael Thomas pickup? He picked up Michael Thomas. He actually paid more for Michael Thomas than he did his three projected starters. I know that I think that you have said in the past that you got a little bit of faith in what Michael Thomas might can come back and do. What do you think about that pickup?
Well, I was fighting for Michael Thomas with Josh,
Got it.
and I just they got to a point where I was like, I cannot spend that much money on one bench spot because he wouldn't have been in my top three wide receivers or my
Absolutely.
flex.
And he's a guy that, you hope comes back and
Right,
looks like the player that he was.
right,
He's not a rookie or a second year guy that we're hoping breaks out. He's a guy
right,
that we hope can return to form.
right.
So a little riskier. I do think that his last two guys that he grabbed for $1 a piece, Chase Claypool and Tyler Lockett, I, you know, you're trying to hit home runs at the end of your draft, really. So I know those guys not projected to look as good this year as they have in past circumstances. But you never know. I mean, I'm not going to grab a guy at the end of the draft that I know has a like a decent floor because I'm not going to start that guy week one anyway, probably.
Right.
So I just want to try to hit a home run there. Obviously, I think Josh had one of the best teams in the league though, just because of the running back stardom, and I think he held it together enough with the rest of his lineup.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay. We're gonna go with my Uncle Tommy, which is actually Josh's dad. Next, a lot of family here, if you didn't notice. He actually had an interesting draft. We'll see what you think here. We'll see what you think. I think it has some highs and I think it has some lows. His projected starting lineup is Justin Herbert, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Debo Samuel, Michael Pittman, Allen Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, Matt Gay as the kicker, and the Buccaneers defense. His bench is Matt Stafford, J.K. Dobbins, Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, uh, Tyler Higbee, and Raheem Mostert. What is a name that just immediately jumps out at you on this one?
I mean, for one, Justin Herbert, and also I just don't think he's ever going to have to worry about a quarterback because if Herbert goes down, I feel like Stafford's a great fantasy quarterback. I mean, he could be a great option. I mean,
That's
really,
that's true. If he wants to hang on
he's
to
a
both of those
gunslinger.
guys, yeah, if he wants to hang on to both of those guys, that's perfectly fine. But I do think he overpaid for Herbert.
I agree, and I don't want to spoil it for everyone that's watching this, but he paid $10 less for Justin Herbert than I did for Josh Allen.
Exactly. And he
That's
paid
ridiculous.
he paid 70 more dollars than what was paid for Patrick Mahomes. So, and I just don't think they're that far apart. And I was comparing, I actually talked to Josh on the phone not long after the draft. He took Aaron Rodgers for $16. I don't think Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers fantasy stats will be that much different at the end of the season because
That's crazy.
neither one of them are like Justin Herbert doesn't drop back looking to run. Now he can be mobile because he's a young guy and he's an athlete, but I just don't think their fantasy stats are that far apart. And you're going $240 down to 16. That is
Right.
the only problem I had with this draft. Everybody else has just tremendous, tremendous upside.
Right.
Derrick Henry, as long as the guy doesn't get hurt. I mean, he
Right.
paid 500 for Derrick Henry. In comparison, Dalvin Cook went for 480, and he's just as injury prone.
Right.
And if Derrick Henry's on the field, he is pound for pound the best rusher in football. If he's on the field, best
Yeah.
pure rusher. He took Aaron Jones for only 180. I mean, a guy that's going to be near the end zone all the time with the Packers. And then he got some electric guys like Debo, Michael Pittman, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
What do you think about that wide receiver core?
If they can get Debo the ball, Debo's going to be a beast. As long as they
Exactly.
can hit Debo in the hands, Debo's going to be a beast. Like,
Exactly. And he's a PPR stud.
right,
He's a PPR
right.
stud.
He's
Um,
just like Cooper Cup in that regard, kind of. I mean,
and you
really.
and he did pick up Allen Robinson. That was a guy that I was trying to pick up too.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants a piece of the Rams pie. It's kind of like you want a piece of the Bills pie too. So I really like the Allen Robinson pickup. Michael Pittman projects to be a great guy. The only thing that I'm worried about, he paid 125 for Darren Waller. Darren Waller is currently battling a little bit of a hamstring issue, and they're in a little bit of a contract dispute. So I do think it was smart that he tried to pick up another tight end that might have some upside in Tyler Higbee out of the Rams. But Darren Waller, a guy that might not be there. If Darren Waller is there, I do, other than, paying up for Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert's going to be that guy.
Right.
He is that guy.
Hmm.
But other than that, I think it was a pretty solid draft with some players that could
Yeah.
really pop off.
Yeah.
I know you're a little bit of a Saquon Barkley truther, and he got Saquon for only $100. So if Saquon really does have a bounce back year,
I
it's going
know
to
he
look good.
outbid me for Saquon.
Yep. I mean, it's tough to see your guys on another dude's team when you're like, dang, I really think that guy's going to be good.
Right.
As far as his bench goes, I think he's one of the not as deep teams in the league, but he's got guys that could really break out. He's got Drake London, a rookie wide receiver for Atlanta. He's got Raheem Mostert, who projects to be the backup for Miami, but we all know that Raheem Mostert has insane speed. He has showed it.
Yeah.
He showed it in San Francisco. He might come out and do something. J.K. Dobbins is a guy that me and CJ talked about a lot. A couple weeks into the season, we should start seeing a full health J.K. Dobbins for Baltimore, and we know the Baltimore rushing attack is just insane.
Yeah.
And you already said how much you like the Matt Stafford pickup for cheap.
Yeah. I mean, like if by some freak accident, if Herbert goes down early in the season, Stafford could be. I mean, he's a gunslinger, dude. He's gonna pass the ball. He's
Yeah,
got Cooper Cup. That just sounds like money to me. I mean,
yeah. If Stafford is healthy, Stafford's a
mhm.
top 10 quarterback
Yeah,
for fantasy. If
yeah,
he is healthy, he's a top five pure quarterback in the
yeah,
NFL. Just an insane guy. But no, I felt really good about his draft.
yeah.
I think he'll have a good year. We'll go down. We'll talk about the twins next. Tom and Joe, some family friends. Used to work with Tommy. These guys are hilarious. I'm talking. If you want some good camaraderie in your league, man, Tom and Joe will give it to you every single time. They are hilarious. And I know Nick, you just met them for the first time, and
Yeah, they gave me a watermelon. I didn't even
yeah.
know them. That was awesome.
Yeah, they're hilarious. But anyway, Tom has come out and said that he has the best team by far. He said it for the last hour of the draft. And the draft went on for about 2.5 hours. For the last hour, Tom is trying to convince everyone that he had the best team. So we're gonna go through it here. Um, let's start at the top with his projected starting lineup.
Oh
Lamar
Lord.
Jackson,
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Jerry Jeudy, Dalton Schultz. He actually has George Kittle as well, Brandon McManus, and the Ravens defense. His projected bench is Russell Wilson, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Who are some names that pop out at you on this one?
I mean, for one, I think Lamar Jackson has the capabilities to be a top five fantasy quarterback for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like
Absolutely.
easily.
Yeah. This is a guy that will be in the running for the best fantasy football quarterback
Yeah,
if he stays healthy.
and I mean, I don't know. He got Jonathan Taylor for 500, and I talked to him like in the middle, like I think we took a little intermission like towards the back end,
Yeah.
and I was like, I told him I still couldn't believe that you got Jonathan Taylor for 500. He said I'd have gone to 700, and
Exactly,
and
exactly. I agree. And just for comparison, while we're talking about that, Austin Eckler went for 600. Derrick
yeah.
Henry went for 500. Najee Harris went for 500, and there's another guy that went for 700 that we'll have to talk about here in a little bit when we talk about my team. But for Jonathan Taylor, the number one consensus overall pick to go for 500, I think everybody was just kind of like, this is the first guy nominated. Wait just a second. Everybody calm
Yeah.
down. So just, but absolutely. I like his wide receiver core. He's got a
Yeah.
couple proven guys. Keenan Allen.
hmm
If
I
Cooper Cup didn't invent PPR, Keenan Allen
yeah.
did.
I really wanted Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
I really tried to test him for it. He just went higher than I could go.
yeah. And then Mike Evans, a touchdown monster.
Yeah.
Um, Jerry Judy, who projects to be the number two guy in Denver, but he could just as easily
Russell Wilson,
be,
though.
yeah, he could just as easily be the guy in
hmm
Denver. I know several times over the past years where people thought that Jerry Judy was the guy. I know several times where people thought that Cortland Sutton was the guy.
hmm
And now we're going to see which one Russell Wilson, leans toward most in the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
The only thing that was kind of weird was he took George Kittle, felt good about it. Only $80 for a guy that projects to be a top five tight end for sure, an absolute weapon.
hmm
And then he came back with a Dalton Schultz grab for about $40. Nothing against Dalton Schultz because I do think that Dak Prescott likes to throw it to him. But are you trying to go with two tight ends that are in like the top seven-ish range?
I mean, I can't say much because I think I ended up with like the eighth and ninth tight ends.
Yeah,
But I mean, I only spent $36 on them combined, so it
yeah,
wasn't like I was wasting a whole lot.
yeah,
I went
absolutely.
pretty weak on the tight ends. I just think personally that you've got to have wide receivers and running backs, unless you're going for your Travis Kelsey's or your Mark Andrews. Then you can go spend your big money and get your amazing tight end.
Yeah.
But
He has some stable picks.
yeah,
Jonathan Taylor's a stable pick, and
hmm
then he took Travis Etienne, which is a boomer bust, could be a really big guy. He took Keenan Allen, Mike Evans. Those are stable picks. Jerry Judy could be a really big guy. We don't
hmm
know. Now on his bench, I know that you like the Russell Wilson grab for only
yeah,
$20 on the bench. I know you
for
got
sure.
Lamar in the lineup, but
If Lamar just isn't playing well or whatever, throw Russell Wilson in.
yeah, and we
I
have
mean,
seen Lamar slump in the
yeah,
past.
for
We have.
sure.
So and there's nobody that starts out the first four games or so hotter than Russell Wilson does every single
Yeah,
year. Like he comes out the gate firing. I really, really like these wide receiver pickups at the
yeah.
end. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a second year guy who is just so hungry. I don't know if you've seen the interview or even if we've talked about it. They did an interview with Amon-Ra St. Brown at training camp, and he said that he was still hungry. And he said, I
Yeah.
can name you every single player, every single wide receiver and their college that went ahead of me in the draft. And he sat there and named them all, like looking straight into the camera, named every single wide receiver and every single college. I don't know how many it was. It was like eight or nine or so. It wasn't a small amount. And named them every single one. And you could just tell the hunger in that guy. Rashad Bateman projects to be Lamar Jackson's number one. He got Lamar Jackson. Could be an
Yeah.
interesting stack.
hmm
And then Juju Smith Schuster. We are all interested to see
hmm
what he does with Pat Mahomes.
I'm telling you, I think Pat Mahomes can make anyone a superstar, and he is a freak. He's freakishly athletic, and
Absolutely. And
and
and other than the knee concerns early in
yeah,
training camp here, where he's having to get his knee drained, some fluid, something he struggled with last year too. I hope he's healthy because I don't want to
yeah,
see anybody, hindered by injury, obviously. So
right,
even though he's not on my team, I'd like to just see what happens.
right.
But anyway, I mean, do you think best draft in the league? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that I prefer. I think it was a top half draft. Like I definitely think he was a
Yeah,
close to a top three guy, but I don't think best draft. When I say I kind of like Josh's team a little more. Tommy's team even kind of rivals it a little bit in my opinion.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I might be biased, and I might not know nothing about football, but I think I had the best draft out of
Well,
anybody.
we're gonna find out here in a minute if you did or not. So, we'll go on to Joe, which is the other half of the twin gang there.
Oh Lord.
Joe actually won the regular season last year.
Yeah.
For those I didn't mention, Devin was the Super Bowl champion. So Joe won the regular season, and this year his projected lineup is Joe Burrow, Najee Harris, Cam Akers, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, T.J. Hawkinson, Matt Prater, and the Colts defense. His bench: Pat Fryermuth, Bryce Hall, Damian Harris, Gabriel Davis, Devin Singletary, and Robert Woods. What are some names that get you going there?
I think you know what names get me going.
I hear you.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think that's a great stack. I mean, I wanted that stack, but I said in yesterday's video that I was going after Josh Allen if he became available, and I felt like the price was right. And I gave up on the Joe Burrow thing. I was like, I can get him for that. But I did go in hard on Jamar Chase, but I stopped early enough because after I had Josh Allen, I wanted to get someone else. I was willing to spend more just to have the stack.
Yep, and Joe spent almost all of his money on Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
But Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson could all three score as many points as another guy's whole lineup one week.
Right.
So Jamar Chase and I can't believe that he got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack, and he still picked up Justin Jefferson as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just for retrospect, Jamar Chase cost 465, so $10 more than Cooper Cup did, and that was because Cooper Cup actually went before Jamar Chase, and
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody, was kind of big on Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson went for 425, so a little bit lower. I know some people are higher up on him. Najee Harris went for 500. So a lot of those top tier running backs went from the 5 to 6 range. That's where like I think Tom got an upper hand there. He got Jonathan Taylor for 500, whereas Joe had to pay 500 just to get Najee Harris because it was kind of like the end of a tier with running backs. I do like the Gabriel Davis pickup on the bench. I like the Devin Singletary pickup. He went with a couple Bills, and who doesn't want a piece of that offense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know that you're real big on that offense.
Yeah,
So I
I
mean,
am.
do you think later in the draft are you looking for guys that might break out on a bad offense, or are you looking for guys that might get a piece of a big offense?
I think with specifically with my bench, I went with guys that are somewhat proven that could definitely like if maybe an injury or someone having a down year, they could be getting a bigger chunk of that offense than they would than people think they might right now.
Absolutely. I understand what you're saying. Um, I like the draft. Like you said, you can't
Mm-hmm.
go wrong with two of the best wide receivers.
You
I
can't
thought it
do
was
it.
I thought it was pretty good. I think the Terry McLaurin thing I'm interested to see because Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz can be a decent quarterback. He cannot also.
And
T.J. Hawkinson was one of the lower tight end.
yeah,
He ended up with one of the lower tight end situations, but he has always flashed as a guy that has extreme athleticism. So we'll see what Jared Goff does there.
yeah.
Um, a couple guys on the bench. I know we just talked about Gabriel Davis and Devin Singletary. I'm interested to see what Bryce Hall does. Rookie for the Jets. We know the Jets don't look the strongest this year, but I mean
Oh
he's a
Lord.
rookie, and
Yep.
and he's apparently just this freak of nature athlete. So I mean athletes can get it done in fantasy
Mm-hmm.
football, that's for sure. So well, let's go over here to the two teams that matter the most. They may not be the two best teams, but let's go matter the most. We'll go with mine first. That way we can kick it off with yours then, because I do think you had a great draft. Um, I will say before we talk about this, I was rather disappointed with my draft after it all was said and done. Um, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and it just cost me a little bit more money than I thought it would. So my projected starting lineup is Jalen Hurts,
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Alan Lazard, Brandon Cooks, Marquez Valdez Scantling, Travis Kelsey, AJ Dillon, Daniel Carlson, and the 49ers defense. My bench is Elijah Mitchell, Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup, James Cook, Chris Olave, and Isaiah McKenzie. Now, Nick, go ahead and tell me where I messed up.
Now, it's not that you messed up. I'm just saying it was a risk that I wasn't willing to take with Christian McCaffrey
Absolutely.
because you spent the most money of anyone on a single player on Christian McCaffrey. You spent $700,
Yep.
and part of it, I think you could have got him for a little less, but you got tired of Tommy trying to bid against you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
at one point it was at 625.
Hmm.
And I said, listen, I said, I'm going to go to 700. We've done this for long enough. I'm going to go to 700. And if you go higher than that, you can have him. And if he did, I would have gave him to him. I knew
Yeah,
that 700 was my cap. If Christian McCaffrey is healthy, he will be the number one fantasy running back.
I agree with you. I agree with
If
you.
he is not, I will not do very well. But I did still get DeAndre Swift. I was
Yeah.
pretty happy about
Hmm.
that. And then I went big and got the what could be considered the number one overall tight end in Travis Kelce.
Oh, I just don't. I don't think there's a considered about it. I think he is. There's no doubt about it. I think. I mean, really, when you've got Patrick Mahomes thrown to you, I just.
Yeah, and I'm usually a guy that tries to slum it with like the 8, 9, 10 tight end, maybe try to switch up tight ends every so often, find a guy throughout the season. So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, this year I'm gonna go for a guy. I didn't even get a backup tight end because I just, Travis Kelsey's gonna be that guy as
Right.
long as he's healthy. If Travis Kelsey was to go down, then obviously I'll hit the waiver wire. But um the worry obviously with my lineup is in the wide receiver category.
Yeah.
So I picked up Alan Lazard for really,
Hmm.
really cheap. He projects to be the number one guy for Aaron Rodgers. We know what Aaron Rodgers is. I
Hmm.
like that. Brandon Cooks has a second year quarterback that is unproven. However, Brandon Cooks has also proved to be a guy that could get it done with the deep ball, and he can be a little bit of a PPR guy at times too. There's a chance he does okay. Marquez Valdez Scantling, who knows? He might end up being the one for Patrick Mahomes after Travis Kelsey. After
Yeah.
Travis Kelsey, obviously. If Juju's not healthy. On my bench, I took a chance with guys that are going to come back in a few weeks. Chris Godwin and Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup, obviously, I think I'm going to be waiting a little bit longer, maybe 4 weeks. But my wide receiver problem could be solved after the first 3 or 4 weeks. If I get out of
Yeah.
the first 4 weeks, let's say I'm 2-2, and I've
Dude, you're
got Chris
golden.
Godwin and oh yeah, I feel really good about it. Then if guys like Christian McCaffrey and DeAndre Swift can just carry me to that point, I feel good about it. Now, I did take some lesser known guys at the end. Chris Olave, a rookie wide receiver for the Saints. And then Isaiah McKenzie. I just had to get a little piece of the Bills there.
Yeah.
They said that he projects to be the Cole Beasley role in the Buffalo Bills offense. And let me tell you what, I'm all about the PPR role of Cole Beasley. So, um, but no, I know that I personally think that I didn't have the greatest draft. If I had to project it right now, I would say I had a seventh or eighth place draft. You just have to wait and see how it rolls out, though, I guess.
I think when you put it in terms of if you can get to week 4 at 2-2, I think you had a top 50% draft for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
You had a top 4 draft.
yeah. Absolutely. And I really hope that I get to that point. If I get to week 4 and I'm 0-4, then I'm probably starting to get a little worried
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
But let's go over here and let's talk about who is claimed to be the best draft in the league. We have a projected lineup from Nick of Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goddard, Evan McPherson, and the Rams defense. On his bench, he has Tom Brady, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson, Marquise Brown, Cordarrelle Patterson, and Amari Cooper. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, you went with Josh Allen.
Hmm.
You're never going to have to worry about putting another quarterback in.
Nope.
And you still got Tom Brady for nothing, just in
Yeah.
case.
Just in case something freaky happens with Josh Allen, I've got Tom Brady, who's the GOAT. And I know
Ab-
is going to be just good enough all year. There's no problem about it.
Absolutely. You went with two proven veterans at running back and Joe Mixon. I know you like the Bengals.
Hmm. I want to get a chunk
Absolutely.
of the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got Leonard Fournette, who, even though he's not a flashy guy that everybody's like, oh, I want Leonard Fournette, Tom Brady loves the guy. He loves to
Yeah.
throw it to him out of the backfield, good PPR points, and he'll score touchdowns. I mean, that's going to be a good offense. I like that thing.
And I got him for $31.
Exactly. And then you can talk about the stack that you got.
I got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and I got Diggs for 500, which was higher than I
Now,
was willing to go for Jamar,
the
just
highest wide
because.
receiver, the
Yeah,
highest wide receiver paid.
I paid the highest for the number 5 wide receiver, but I do think that in all reality, if someone pushed the other guys to 500, they probably would have gone for more than 500.
Absolutely, and I don't think that it's far fetched to think Stephon Diggs might be the number one wide receiver when the season's over with.
I mean, when you've got Josh Allen, man, he's a gunslinger, and he's just like Patrick Mahomes. He's just a beast. You know he's going to be one of the best guys for sure.
Absolutely. You picked up DJ Moore. Obviously, we see in training camp that Baker Mayfield and DJ Moore have a pretty good connection
Mm-hmm,
already. And then you picked up T. Higgins, so another piece of
mm-hmm,
that Bengals offense.
mm-hmm,
And what do you think about the T. Higgins pickup there? Because I know you didn't get Jamar Chase, but you got
mm-hmm.
T. Higgins.
Now, I'm just scared, honestly, that I spent too much because he might not be a big enough chunk of that offense just because he has Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase already.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
but if he can get enough, I don't know, if he can get enough targets or whatever, then I think he can be very, very, very much worth $101.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I think that he's a guy that is great for PPR
yeah.
because I feel like he does slot into the more possession role on the Bengals offense. Jamar Chase is the flashy down the field 75-yard touchdown guy.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins is the okay, crossing route 8 yards, great job. Let's get up
Right.
here and let's run the ball and get a first
Mm-hmm.
down. And you've got the guy that's going to run the ball too.
Right.
So, but no, I like the pick. Now let's talk about your tight end situation a little bit because I think this is where it could be really good. It could be really bad. Some
Yeah.
weeks it's going to be really good. Some weeks not. Zach Ertz, for $30, you got him pretty early on. You threw him up there. That's a name that everybody knows. Dallas Goddard, another name everybody knows. You got him for 6. What are you thinking with those two picks?
So, I mean, I went big with the quarterback. I went and got the best quarterback in the league, and I went big on wide receivers and one running back I went bigger on.
Yep,
So I was like, I think I need to go a little bit lower because I don't think I can get a Darren Waller or a Kyle Pitts, but maybe my Zach Ertz, who might have good success with Kyler Murray, that might be great for $30.
absolutely. Two guys in what project to be really good offenses
Right.
this year. And two guys with quarterbacks that look to continue to just get better in the passing game as well, in
Yeah.
Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts. You grab one of the best defenses in the Rams defense, obviously. I do like your pickup also of Marquise Brown on
Mm-hmm.
your bench there. DeAndre Hopkins obviously suspended 6 games. So were you thinking about that when you picked up Marquise Brown?
I didn't really at that point. I was just trying to look at guys that I knew have a chance to be something at some point if one of my big guys goes down.
Absolutely. You went with somebody more steady in Cordell Patterson there.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson is obviously a guy that has been a top 12 running back the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Where we are a little worried about them trying to give more carries to a rookie over with the Redskins. J.D.
Mm-hmm.
McKissick obviously gets the passing down work. Antonio Gibson's a freak athlete. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was well worth just taking a chance on with a
Yeah.
bench spot because you got Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette. You're not going to take either one of those guys out right now. And then you took Kareem Hunt, and you're hoping a lot of passing down work out of him, I'm sure.
What I'm thinking right now, I might put Kareem in my flex over Goddard.
I hear you. I hear you. Uh,
Um,
just just
and if
just
he
a guy that
doesn't do
catches
anything the
passes.
first week, if he doesn't do anything the first week, I'll put Goddard in, and then if he goes off, I'll just have to play it by whatever I think is going to happen that week, probably with those two.
Yep. Well, tomorrow we have another draft,
Yeah.
8 p.m. I'm sure we'll be on right after that to talk about that one too. Might have a couple more guests on here. A lot of guys in that league, but we're about to wrap it up here. We appreciate everybody. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, give us a whatever you want to call it. And we appreciate you. And Nick, you got anything to lead them off with here?
No, y'all gotta like and subscribe, y'all. Y'all gotta like and subscribe. That's it. It's
All
completely
right.
free. Thank y'all.